Brooke with the Buttered Home. Welcome to Messy Kitchen Monday. How are you guys tonight? It is freezing here. Freezing. If you had a holiday today, we hope you enjoy your holiday. I know that it probably wasn't a holiday for everybody, but we've gotten a lot done today on our holiday. I'm ready to go back to work tomorrow. Isn't it funny how that always works on the weekends or holidays or when I take vacation days to actually do stuff around the house? I think I work harder physically than I do when I'm at work. I have a desk job, so I work hard at work, but it's not at all like working here. Anyway, we're good and give out, and we are ready to go back tomorrow. So tonight, what we have in store for you, in line with everything else that we've done this month, we are getting back to basics. Now, when I say basics, I talk about the good basics of scratch-made cooking. But as many of you know who've been following me for these last 2 years, you know that I love quick and easy stuff too, and I love shortcuts. So I have several things that I have struggled with in the kitchen over the years. Rice, grits, those are the two biggest ones that I had. Until I got my electric pressure cooker. Boiled eggs was one of them. I had a time, trying to get the perfect boiled egg that you could peel the shell off without just gouging and marring up the egg, because I like to make deviled eggs and they have to be pretty and blemish free. So I had a time with that, but my electric pressure cooker, it changed all that for me. One of the other things that I have a love-hate relationship with is homemade bread. I love homemade bread. Bread is my arch enemy because I love it. It's carbs. It's beautiful. It's good. It's carbs. So I love bread, but bread kind of sticks to me in places that, I don't know. I still love it anyway. And Reagan's getting on to me, so you'll have to just bear with me. Do what? Can I get milk? Yeah, you can get milk. She's asking me if she could get milk out of the refrigerator. Anyway, but I love homemade bread, and I love the whole process of making homemade bread. On my site, I have a very good recipe for skillet flatbread, which is naan bread, and it involves a lot of kneading and things like that. And a lot of people look at that as work. I actually love it. Making bread, it just kind of calms me down. It centers me, and it's just one of my most favorite things to do. Now, however, my bread is not at all in the middle like when I make homemade bread, like loaf bread. It doesn't puff up and have these beautiful pockets of air in it and all this stuff. I just have a really hard time with my bread being too dense. And I don't have a bread maker either, so I'm sure that cooking it just in my oven doesn't allow for the perfect atmosphere that it needs like a bread maker would do. I don't have room for a bread maker, so that's probably the only reason why I don't have one. But over the years, I've tried, probably 15 different bread recipes, and trying to come up with something that's quick, that's easy, and that's foolproof, because I'm not one to let stuff whip me. I'm gonna try and find my way as best to make something that I like and that my family likes, the easiest way, as well as, because I'm just not gonna give up. It's just not gonna whip me. This recipe is probably the easiest, best bread recipe that you will find. It's simple. I've got three ingredients more in it than it actually needs. It actually only needs 1, 2, 3 ingredients, but I've got 6. But like a lot of other buttered home recipes, this is a good one for you to take and make your own. So you can take the base for this recipe and make any kind of bread you want.
One of my favorite things is a savory bread that has cheeses in it and that has herbs in it. Have you ever been to those restaurants where you get the bread and you pour the olive oil on the plate and you put the spices in there and then you mop that stuff up with the bread and eat it? Oh, it's just so good. That's this bread. And all you need is the oil because it has everything else in it. So if you like breads like that, this exact recipe, the way that I'm going to make it tonight, is for you. And it's rosemary beer bread. So I'm going to quit jibber jabbering and get started. So what I have is sprigs of fresh rosemary, and of course if you can use dried rosemary. You're just going to want to use about half of the amount because dried herbs are much more they're much stronger than fresh herbs. So we just strip that off, and then we're just going to take our knife and just run through it. And I've already done most of it, but I just wanted you to get the general idea that it can just be a coarse chop, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I do it kind of small and do it a few times just simply because Big D doesn't like rosemary, so I make it as small as I can to make it tolerable for him to eat it. He'll eat it as long as he doesn't have to bite into a big hunk of it. Isn't that right?
Yep.
So I just run my knife through it and just get it kind of minced up really, really fine, and it doesn't take long. See, got that done. So we're going to take a bowl and we are going to add in our other ingredients. Let me just move everything out of the way. And what I have here is self-rising flour. Self-rising flour is my bread making best friend. I use self-rising flour for my biscuits even. So this takes the guesswork out of a lot of what you would have to do if you had to add baking powder and all that stuff. So this recipe, you don't have to. So to that, I'm gonna add in a little sugar and some salt. And those are your dry ingredients. And you just sift those together. Sifter. And it works just fine. So then I'm gonna add in my rosemary. And we're gonna just kind of mix that in. It smells so good. I love rosemary, the smell of rosemary. Dang it, not so much. To this, we're gonna add in some Parmesan cheese. Now, don't worry because this recipe will drop later in the week and you can get all the measurements for it on thebutteredhome.com. Now I'm gonna add in some cheddar cheese, shredded. And we're just gonna take a spoon and kind of mix those in. Get those good and mixed in. And then I'm just gonna kind of clear it out of the way, kind of like I do with biscuits before I put the buttermilk in, and make a little well in the middle. See? And then here's our yeast. A full 12-ounce room temperature beer. And it can be any flavor you like. I like light beer because it makes a lighter bread. If you used a darker beer, it would make a darker bread. So by all means, use whatever you think you would like, but the whole 12 ounces is gonna go in. And it's gonna foam up, and it's gonna kind of get big. I've got my oven preheated back here. You don't. So I'm gonna stick this, I'm gonna stir this up, and we're not going to over mix it. We're just gonna get that incorporated, and then you wanna make sure that you kind of dig down in there and you don't have any excess flour. And there you go. So now I'm gonna spray my loaf pan.
spatula. And I always spray my pans at the sink because if you have ever walked on a spot on the floor where you have accidentally sprayed it with cooking spray, then you'll know why I do it at the sink. So we're going to get that in the pan. Do I have a question? What?
43.
Huh?
43.
Oh, okay. No question, sorry. Reagan just chooses to try to talk to me while I'm...
I just get excited.
So there we have it, and we have it all pretty in our loaf pan. And you can see the herbs in it, and you can see the cheese. So this is going to go into the oven, and I think it's at 375. I'm not sure. I'd have to look. It's either 350 or 375, and it's done in about 45 minutes. And it is so good. And I'm about to show you how good it is because I already have one made. And you just let it cool in the pan for a little bit, and you have this perfect little golden loaf, and it puffs up and it's all pretty. Uh-oh. And then we're just gonna cut a big hunk, and it's all crispy on the outside. And there you have it. There's rosemary beer bread, and it's so good. We like to just take it and just put a little pad of butter on it. And it's really good when it's hot right out of the oven. But, oh, just the smell alone is fantastic. I have to hand it off. So there's your rosemary beer bread. And you can have that done in under an hour. And I like to keep it just for like when company comes, or if we're having like spaghetti or spaghetti and meatballs or some sort of Italian fare for our dinner or our lunch, then this is fantastic with it too. And you can actually make it ahead of time, wrap it in foil, put it in a low heat oven and just reheat it, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. So it makes a really good bread extra on your table. So now, if you're like me and bread generally whips you, then it will whip you no more. You can have this rosemary beer bread on your table in less than an hour, and really you can take the three main ingredients, which is the salt, the self-rising flour, and the beer, and you can add to it to make it your own. That's one of the things that we like to do here at the Messy Kitchen, is give you recipes that get you in the kitchen and get you cooking and get you experimenting with different flavors and finding what you like and becoming an expert cook. Because you would never know that this wasn't bought at the bakery. So it's great for any kind of application you would need. So if you are on our Buttered Home VIP list, you will get this recipe as soon as it hits the website. If you're not on the Buttered Home VIP email list, then you're going to have to wait until we post it on social media, either Facebook or Instagram. But if you want to remedy that, then you can go to thebutteredhome.com right now and sign up for our email newsletter. And you can be the first, like so many, to receive recipes like this one and every time we post one. We've just got one Monday left in January. Y'all, before we know it, it'll be Christmas and I'll be saying, gosh, wasn't it just January? It'll come around quicker than you know it. And for those of you who are not as old as me, just wait. As you get older, time will just go faster and faster and faster. So we have one more Monday, and this Monday is going to be a tool that anybody can use. I use it every year because we plant a garden. But now if you go to the grocery store, especially if you go to like Costco or Sam's and you buy like fresh vegetables in the big containers, the big packages, if you're not going to use every bit of that right away, How many people end up throwing a lot of that kind of stuff away? You know, but you don't have to do that anymore. If you wanted to buy your fresh vegetables in bulk, or if you grow your own vegetables and you end up just having way too much like we do, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do what we call in the South, blanch your vegetables to have them in the freezer. This way you can have vegetables fresh for the whole year, because the way we blanch vegetables and put them up, we call them putting them up. We blanch the vegetables and then we put them up. That means we freeze them. They will last in your freezer as long as they are frozen well and airtight for a year. So we're going to show you how to do that next Monday. So it ought to be a fun, really messy Kitchen Monday. So be sure you join us next Monday. Invite a friend, because you never know what's going to happen here. Never know what's going to happen. The dogs haven't bothered us tonight, but you know, we have had them come in and knock stuff over, so it's always a good time. Like I said, if you want to sign up for the email list, you can go to thebutteredhome.com and do that, or you can do that on either one of our pages on Instagram or Facebook. We hope that you will join us next Monday for our final Getting Back to Basics Messy Kitchen Monday. Y'all have a great week, and from the Buttered Home to your home, we love y'all.